town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.
Hello everyone, welcome to America's Lost Gold. Our series is all about lost gold mines and treasures located all over our great land. I'm your host, Lyndon Graves. Today we're going to discuss one of the most famous and sought after lost mines, known as the Lost Dutchman. But first, I want to introduce my great friend and co-host, Dr. Roy Rausch. Dr. Rausch is known worldwide for his expertise in treasure hunting and has been the focus of several television shows about lost treasures. Dr. Rausch, welcome.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It sure is good to have you.
Same here.
Okay, let's begin with a brief history of the area. Our story takes place just outside of Phoenix, Arizona, in the mighty Superstition Mountain Range. Prior to the arrival of civilized man, these mountains were populated by several Indian tribes, including the Pimas, the Apache, and others. These Indians were not savages, but had organized societies, as evidenced by remaining cliff dwellings and reports about their farming and irrigation. In the year 1540, Spain sent an expedition led by Francisco Vázquez de Coronado into the New Spain, including the territories of what is now Sonora, Mexico, Arizona, and beyond. The men of the expedition noticed that the Apaches were adorned with gold jewelry and inquired as to where the gold came from. The Apaches freely told them that it was from the great mountain of their thunder god, a very sacred place. Coronado and his men took off and went into the sacred mountains. They found rich gold veins and began to mine them. Suddenly, one by one, his men began to disappear. A few days later, their bodies would be found beheaded. After moving several men, Coronado decided to flee the area, and he returned to Spain with the gold that they had mined. Upon his return, the news of gold being found in New Spain spread across the country. Coronado named the mountains Superstition due to the Indian beliefs, and that name has stuck ever since. 300 years later, a wealthy man named Don Miguel Peralta from Sonora, Mexico, having heard of the great Coronado treasure, organized an expedition to go into Arizona and find the gold deposits of the Superstition. Around 1845, the expedition found rich gold veins and began mining them. The gold was taken back to Sonora. Based upon the ruins that have been found, Peralta was very careful to protect his men and mules from Indian attack. However, around 1848, Peralta heard that the Apaches were planning an attack. So he packed up his camp and planned to leave early the next morning. Unfortunately, the Apaches came in very early and killed everyone. This became known as the Peralta Massacre. The Apaches did not care about the gold in the saddlebags of the mules, and they scattered the mules with the gold still on their backs. Several mule remains have been found with gold attached as late as 1914. It is estimated that Peralta had possibly as many as 8 mine shafts working at that time. In 1846, a German man named Jacob Waltz migrated to the eastern United States and began working in the gold mines of Northern Carolina. He worked his way west to California and then drifted towards Arizona, settling in the Phoenix area in April of 1868. He began to prospect the Arizona desert and work in the other gold mines for a living to support himself. During this time, it is believed that he was to have met another German man named Jacob Weiser. These two men are credited for rediscovering one of the Peralta lost mines. There are several different stories as to how they found the mine, but the main point is that they did. Occasionally, Walt would come into town to buy supplies into Phoenix, and he would be spending gold nuggets of very fine quality. He was frequently followed out of town as he left, but he would always lose them in the rough terrain. Waltz died of pneumonia in 1891 and is buried at Pioneer and Memorial Park in Lot 19, grave number 4. So, Roy, I have a few questions for you.
I'll see if I got a few answers for you.
Fantastic. How many times have you gone into the superstition?
At least 5 that I can remember.
And what was it like inside?
Well, somebody told me one time, and I thought I agreed with it. It was described as a wilderness of unreality. And I think that describes it very well. There is nothing like the mysterious feeling that you feel when you go into the Superstition Mountains. You can almost feel the curse that the Apache Indians put on it.
So
and it's a very dangerous place.
It does feel like sacred ground.
Yes, and you must be well prepared. A lot of people have gotten lost. A lot of people have been murdered. They have been attacked by rattlesnakes. I knew a man once that had at least 15 or 20 snake bites. And you better be prepared before you go in. That's all I can say.
Well, once and for all, let us settle one issue here. Is there gold in the superstition?
Yes.
How do you know?
Well, because for one thing, I saw the one nugget on display at the Superstition Mountain Association some years ago that Waltz had sold to a surveyor. And the strange thing about it is that they have tried to match that gold with other locations where he might have worked, like the Vulture Mine at Wickenburg, Arizona, where he was before he went to Phoenix. You see, each piece of gold has its own footprint. It's a combination of gold and lead and silver and so forth. And experts can tell match nuggets from different mines. So far, they have not been able to match that gold with any other area except for the Superstition. So yes, I believe there's gold there.
And didn't you yourself find some evidence of a vein?
Yes, one of the last times I was in there, I was hired by a professional treasure hunter to go in with my equipment, metal detectors, something like this, and some also with double loops, we call them, that would go deeper. And I spent about 4 or 5 days in there. This gentleman thought he knew the approximate area of one of the old Peralta mines, supposedly one of the mines that the Dutchman might have worked and covered up. And I did succeed in locating, I get a very good reading, and they dug into the vein and removed part of it, and it was assayed at $400 an ounce, and that's pretty rich gold. So yes,